Well, everybody, welcome back to another Kicking Tables. We are delighted to have Fabricio Leotti, the creator of Hyperwars, coming to Kickstarter on August 31st. Fabrizio, welcome to Kicking Tables. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me. It's very nice to be here today. Really cool.
So, Hyperwars is a very unique style of game. Why don't you tell our viewers what kind of game this is and what's the story behind Hyperwars?
Nice. So yeah, Hyperwars is a real-time game for starters, but it's also a area control game, which I think it's not very common to find around. And so it's a game based on a cybernetic theme. So it
Okay.
takes place in a city where those corporations, and you can think about like Blade Runner corporations, for example, they are trying to take control of the city through the selling illicit products. They have like a kind of a war between them, and they're trying to sell like cybernetic implants or matrix cloning matrices or
Okay.
computer viruses, weapons, this kind of things. And they do this by fulfilling the demands of every district in the city. So they kind of take control by fulfilling the district demand. That's how it happens. And every player, of course, plays as one of those corporations.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's like the gist of it.
And so how does the game play? What are you doing on your turn? Now you mentioned it's real time. So what are the players doing each round of the game?
Perfect. So the game is very fast-paced, as mostly all real-time games, of course. And the idea behind it is that we wanted to make the player feel the urgency, the idea that something is about to happen, and if you don't take action, you're gonna be like overrun by your opponents or something like this. So basically, what you can do, you can take your small meeples, those small agents here,
Yeah.
and you put them in one of the districts. So the game comes with six different boards. I can show you one close up here, like this one, for example.
Okay.
They have like four areas if you're playing with three or four players, or it has like five areas around if you're playing with five players. And then one of the things you can do is that you can put your agents, your meeples, in one of those areas. You can deploy the resources. For example, those cubes, all those plastic cubes, they are like the resources in the game. So
Right.
you can place them based on the need. Every district will have one of those cards, which is an objective card. So you can see that there is like a demand for like four blue cubes and four red cubes.
Okay.
So yeah, you can put them there. And then you can also move your agents and your cubes around to other districts because you want to take over as many districts as possible so you can make more points. The game runs for 5 minutes like this, so you keep playing those cards. You do all those actions with the action cards. They are like this. So you have like the deliver one that can move cubes around. You have the deploy move one that can move meeples around, and you have the produce. I don't have one here, the produce one that allows you to put your cubes in the districts in the first place. Take it
Okay.
from the table and put it on the districts.
Okay.
And then you do this, you play those cards for 5 minutes. And one special mechanic in Hyperwars is that when you play a card, you pass it to the next player on your right. And
Oh,
you take cards from the players on your left, which makes a flow of cards around the table, which makes the game very kind of stressful because at the end of the game, you're going to lose points based on cards that you still hold in your hand. So if at the
Okay.
end of the game you lose like 1 point for every two cards you have in your hand, so you want to get rid as much as possible all the cards in your hand, and you do that for 5 minutes on the clock. There is actually a timer, and
okay.
when the time runs off, then everybody stops and we count. We make the scoring for every of the districts, and whoever has more victory points minus the penalty points from the cards on their hands wins the game.
Okay.
Okay. So how do you keep players honest when they're doing this? Because you're really focused on your own hand and you're not watching what everybody else is doing.
Mhm.
How do you make sure that everybody's like doing the actions they're supposed to be and not just like ditching off cards?
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of hard with any real-time game, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to keep control of this. So in my experience playtesting Hyperwars is like after a couple of plays, then everybody's kind of, okay, this is how it's done and it's fine. So like, I can give you a very interesting example. We were playing with some friends very recently. So the game is smoothed out already, everything is fine. And I realized that we are running out of cubes every game. And it shouldn't happen. I tested this. Like, why is that happening? And then I realized that one of the guys he thought that when you do the produce action, you take 3 cubes, put on the bag because every player also has a bag that starts with some cubes, and then you shuffle, and then you take 3. So you put 3 in and you take 3 out. And he was putting 9 in and taking 3 out.
Oh.
That's what he understood.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
of course, that's why the cubes were running out so fast. So yeah, it happens. Of course, it can happen. Minor errors won't really hurt the game. The game is very fast anyway. So if something went wrong, in the next iteration, it's just 5 minutes. You can make it right and then keep going.
Interesting. Interesting.
So somebody has to know the game really, really well in order to be able to catch those mistakes.
Yeah, so that's a good point. One way to when I first designed the game, I had it exactly like it is in the table right now, with all those options, and the game was very overwhelming. It's very hard to like pay attention to so many details in your first or second or third run. So what I did, I sliced the game in several rule levels,
Okay.
which means you're going to start with almost none of those elements here. It's going to be just the districts and 3 of those cube piles and the cards in the center, and that's all. And this is like rule level 1. It's very simple. You don't have like much variance. It's a very simple game. And then you go to level 2, you add something else. You go to level 3, you add something else, and so on. And when you reach level 5, you will know much more about the game, and you can. I mean, the learning curve is much better if you do it like this.
Okay.
Now, how do you actually balance, though, a real-time game like this with players who can think really fast and those who like to think about things and analyze? Because like it's basically the more actions you can get done in 5 minutes, the better you're going to do. But some people can think faster than others. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, this can be an issue when you first start playing. I also realized that if you have played this game more times than like newer players, of course, you're gonna make it better at first because as you said, if you can play faster, you do more things and stuff like this. But the game, as you progress on the rule levels, we add some elements like what I call the improvement tiles and the attack tiles. And those things, they are made to make your life easier while playing or changing stuff during the scoring phase at the end. So when no one else can play anything, so that's it. So in the end, what's very important with Hyperwars is that when you start the game, you kind of already know the strategy you want to follow. Of course, this can turn out not to be that good because someone else could pick the same strategy, of course, and you have to adapt.
Right.
But if you do this, there's a lot of those improvement tiles and attack tiles that can give you a better chance, although you're not the faster player, or maybe you, I don't know, didn't know exactly what to do with your cards at first or something like this.
Okay.
No, sorry. Just as a follow-up to that, you mentioned earlier that you're playing and then you actually have to pass your cards to the right. So
Yes.
is that going to slow the game down as well if you have one person who's taking longer to decide what to do?
Yeah, a little bit, but of course, what I didn't mention is when you start the game, you only have 3 cards in your hand.
Right.
So let's say it's a 4-player game, we're gonna have 12 cards around, and there is this central deck, and you cannot actually get cards from the central deck as well. So that's how you add more cards, and there are some actions like those special improvement tiles and attack tiles I mentioned that you can only get cards to play those from the central deck.
Oh.
So even if someone that is a bit slower, if you keep like taking cards and use them, you won't stop doing what you need.
I
The
got you.
person that is slower, that person will be like in trouble because of course he's gonna be receiving a barrage of cards.
Right.
And this is gonna be for anyone playing this game.
Yeah.
But yes, but the game flow doesn't stop because of that.
Okay.
Okay. So what are some of the best strategies that you've seen employed in order to win? What sort of things are the best that players can sort of focus on doing during their play. Quick-paced game like that.
Nice. One of the things, for example, I showed you the card that you have a given objective in a card.
Yeah.
And when you play it, you need to fulfill it exactly. If you have more cubes than that, you're gonna lose 1 point per extra cube you have in this area, in this district. So one of the strategies that I've seen people using and that works a lot is to take one of the districts, keep just one of your meeples there, and use it like a litter space. You just put there every cube that you don't need, because then, okay, you decrease your chances to take high penalties at the end of the game. You're not going to score anything for that particular district because you're not controlling it, but okay, at least you avoid some of the losing some points, for example. So that's one thing. Another thing, and this is one special case because it's one of the attack tiles. There is an attack tile that allows you to, at the end of the game, after the 5 minutes, to switch the objective card from one of the districts. Okay. So you basically blew up everybody's strategy in that place. Although there are ways to try to contain that, to prevent that. It's another attack card that can cancel a attack card. But if you know that, you can, from the beginning of the game, because you switch it with objective cards that are available throughout the game. You can see the potential switching cards. And then you can think ahead and prepare to deploy resources to a district to fulfill that objective that is not in the game yet. And at the end, you try to switch it and win points with that. So this is another interesting strategy I've seen people doing a lot.
So are there a lot of cards that are sort of like take that mechanic where you actually interact with your opponents? Because it sounds at such a fast-paced game, how much interaction is there between the players?
Yeah, that is exactly something I had to try and isolate because it's really not possible to interact during the 5 minutes. It's impossible. There's no way someone can pay attention to whatever you're doing because everybody wants to just play as fast as possible. So the attack card mechanics is the attack tile mechanics is the one that allows you to interact with other players, and that only happens during the scoring phase.
Okay.
After you're counting the points, and so there's a lot of different characteristics, different features that you can use to try and manipulate, like the number of meeples you have in a certain area or the number of resources and stuff like this.
Okay, awesome. Now, this game, what did it look like when you first started developing this? What was the story behind the development of it? How different is it now versus when you first started?
Amazing. So I think that the first time I thought about Hyperwars, it was because of a video game. I don't know if you have played a game called Towerfall Ascension. It's a kind of a couch video game. You cannot play it online, so you can just have your friends
couch co-op
offline on the couch, and exactly.
Yeah.
However, it's not a co-op; it's a competitive game. So
okay.
Every player has a bunch of arrows, and you try to hit everybody and be the last one standing in the screen. It's a very simple platform, 8-bit game, but it's amazing. It brings this urgency, this feeling that you're going to be hit at any moment if you don't do something, if you don't move around, if you don't shoot someone. It's really amazing. And I was thinking, okay, can I bring this sensation, this feeling to a board game? That's what I wanted when I started doing Hyperwars. So obviously, after some study, I realized it had to be a real time, because I guess it would be the best way to convey this kind of information, this kind of feeling. And then when I started doing it, I already had this idea of being in a cyberpunk environment and also the corporations fighting each other, but I had an idea that the different districts, they would be all part of a single central board.
Okay.
And that was a mess.
Oh.
There was there's no way that could work. And it was very, very hard because of course, when people do stuff fast, they tend to I don't know, bump into a cube and then spill it around, and so it was a mess, a huge mess.
Oh no, that cube was there. No, this cube was over here. No, that cube was this way.
Exactly. That was no, it was madness. And I was also trying to, instead of using bags, I was trying to use a dice tower, but when you put some cubes through, someone get entangled inside, and only some cubes go outside.
Oh, okay.
That was great. The effect was amazing, but you have no idea how many people just slapped the tower through the game because they were like moving too fast and they would just like smack the tower and everything went like. So I had to change that for sure. And I guess the last thing that changed a lot was the special tiles. For example, today we have two different types of tiles of each color. So, for example, this is a improvement tile. Sorry, this is an attack tile, and this is an improvement tile.
Okay.
And then what happened is that at the beginning there was just one tile that had both things combined, and then you need to choose if you would put it like face up or face down. They would mean different things.
Okay.
But it was very hard for people to remember. And one of the main things I learned throughout the process of creating Hyperwars is that people needed a way to don't have to think about anything. They need to look at something and immediately know what they need to do or what the thing does.
Yes.
Because there's no time to like keep thinking or trying to remember if I play this side or that side. So this was not good, and I had to change a lot around this.
No time to grab the rule book and check up on what you're supposed to do with a certain card in a real-time game. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you really need to understand what every card means in order to be able to play it quick enough without like, wait, what does this do? I have to look it up now. Yeah, a lot of most normal games, you can just stop, look at the rule book. Oh yeah, okay, oh that's what that means, and then go. But you can't do that with Hyperwars. There's no time to stop.
Precisely. Yes. And one thing I like very much about the game is that I also tried a lot Hyperwars with music. So I normally put some, I don't know, electronic music or dubstep or something like this to make the atmosphere even like harsher. People get really anxious, and so yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So tell us a little bit about your campaign. What sort of stretch goals can we expect to see?
Nice. So well, I'm a first-time creator, so I'm not trying to go crazy with anything, like trying to make a huge amount of different things in stretch goals and stuff like that. Yeah. So my stretch goals will mostly be improvements on the materials and on the components of the game. Just as an example, when I first designed the game, I don't think I have one here right now, I had the meeples, like a meeple really, like a Carcassonne meeple, but made of plastic.
Okay.
And I received those little ones that were the round head and stuff. They're very cool. So for example, this could be something that I will offer. Like, okay, I can replace those meeples with these other ones. Not to talk about, of course, the cardboard quality for the boards or the paper for the cards. Some tray inserts for the elements of the game and so on and so forth. So the stretch goals would be mostly this, but there is one stretch goal that is a special and kind of secret one that I won't review now.
Okay.
It is not related directly to the quality of the game, but it's actually something else.
Okay. Awesome. All right, let's move away from Hyperwars for just a few minutes. We want to get to know you as a gamer, so we have a bunch of just lightning round questions.
Nice.
First answer that comes to mind, really, really quick, and it's all based on your board gaming preferences and habits. Ready?
Cool. Awesome.
All right, legacy games. Destroy the components or preserve them?
Destroy, definitely.
What's your favorite modern game?
That's hard. I have to stay with Scythe.
Okay. Game you most want to add to your collection?
Ooh. Wow, that's hard. One that I have or one that I would like to have, but I don't.
One you don't have, but you would like to add.
Okay, that I'd like to have in my, but I couldn't find. I don't have Emotep, and I really would like to have it on my collection.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Haha, that's easy. Star Trek. Klingons forever.
Nice.
Yay.
Well done. Nice. Deck builder or deck constructor?
Deck builder.
Okay. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Competitive or cooperative?
Competitive always.
Okay. And finally, campaign or legacy?
Yeah, legacy. If it's for board games, legacy. I love to play like role-playing games, and for those I love to have campaigns, long campaigns. But legacy for board games for sure.
Great. That's it. I don't think I missed it. Did I miss any, Tico? I don't think so.
I think you're good.
Yeah, it's just a really quick way to get to know you as a gamer. I love your Klingon shirt there. I'm a big Star Trek fan as well. I like both Star Wars and Star Trek. But anyway, Fabricio, give us your final thoughts before we let you go here. What do you most want people to know about Hyperwars, and why should they go ahead and back this game?
Awesome. So Hyperwars is a game that, in the end, is a fast game, but it's not. It's sort of like a party relaxed game. You're gonna be very like it's gonna be very intense when you play it, and that's the kind of feeling I would like to bring. I didn't feel this kind of feelings many times playing board games, so this I think is very special when you play Hyperwars, and also that the game is ready. We have like all the art done. We have all the components done. We have completely the rules smoothed out. So everything is ready. The game is completely ready to be produced. It only needs help of people to have this on Kickstarter or being funded on Kickstarter right now. That's the only thing. And if you like the game, if you are interested, and if you want to help, the thing you can do right now to help is to subscribe to our email list. I'm not going to spam anyone. I'm just going to tell you, okay, the campaign is about to start or the campaign has started, and then you're going to have it. And you can do that in our website. It's the first thing on the top. You can just put your email there and subscribe. That's what I have to say.
Awesome. And that email is in the description of our show right now, so go click on that and check it out. But Fabricio, thank you so much for joining us to tell us all about Hyperwars. Good luck with your campaign. I hope it does really well.
Thank you so much, Sean, for having me. Hey, thank you so much for watching Kicking Tables today. I really enjoyed talking to you about Hyperwars, and I hope you like it very much. Please don't forget to keep watching this amazing channel, OMG Nexus, and subscribe right here. Thank you so much for watching.